Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Krista Nash, and today I want to talk directly to the parents who are lying awake at night wondering, is this going to ruin my kids? I've sat across from, I think I could say, thousands of parents over the years. Some are angry, some are devastated, some numb, but almost all of them, even the ones who are furious, eventually say some version of something like this: I just don't want my kids to be hurt. So let me start by relieving you of one heavy fear. Divorce itself does not automatically damage children, but high, chronic, unresolved conflict and really, really bad co-parenting absolutely does. It's not the two homes, it's not the schedule, it's not even the separation or the divorce itself. It's the emotional crossfire. It's the tension at exchanges. It's the late night venting to a child. It's the eye roll when the other parent's name comes up. And it's subtle loyalty test. We've covered so many different episodes over the year plus that we've been offering you episodes on this podcast of people, professionals, psychologists, various people talking about how they inform you that these are the things that really hurt children, not the divorce itself. I hope that you'll listen to some of those or go back and listen. But today we're going to review some of the top things that you need to revisit or visit for the first time if you're new to the podcast, to help us understand that children really can survive and even thrive after divorce when the adults handle it with maturity and emotional discipline. So today we're going to go through 10 very practical, real strategies that you could start using immediately to reduce conflict and protect your child's emotional safety. Make conscious decisions that your child's peace is more important than winning. Conflict escalates when divorce becomes about being right. And listen, in many divorces, someone really was wrong. There was betrayal, there was dishonesty, there was disloyalty and irresponsibility. But your child's nervous system does not benefit from you proving that in an ongoing way to them in every interaction. I once had a case, it's actually a very frequent type of case that I've had, where both parents are highly educated, highly articulate. They've got great jobs, high incomes. From the outside, they look like they have it all. And they're highly determined to win every single thing that goes to court. Every holiday became a legal argument. Every schedule tweak became a battle of principles. And one day, their 10-year-old said to a child's legal representative, "I wish they loved me more than they hate each other." That sentence should stop every parent in their tracks. I wish I could have truly an audio or video roll for parents to hear the kind of statements. Maybe someday I'll write a book about this just to give people some insight. But the sentences that kids say to me, that really should make every parent just gasp and say, I don't want to be that parent. I want parents to be able to hear from these children and be there in the interviews I do with them. And I want to encourage them to decide what you must decide, which is that I will not weaponize the legal system for emotional validation. So ask yourself before escalating, is this about safety? Is this something that I must go for my child's well-being to try to handle, especially in court? Is this fight worth having? Is it worthy? Or is it more about my ego? Is this worth my child absorbing more tension? You can be right, but still create damage. Manage your tone. And why? Because your child internalizes it. Here's something most parents don't understand. When you criticize the other parent, your child hears criticism of themselves. They are biologically wired to identify with both parents. So when you say, your dad is so irresponsible, your child subconsciously hears, half of me is irresponsible. I've seen children defend a parent who was objectively flawed, not because they're blind or clueless, but because defending that parent feels like they're defending part of themselves. Tone matters even more than content, so keep that in mind as well. We see things differently. Or you can say, your mom always makes terrible decisions. One builds stability and one builds insecurity. And I'm sure you can tell which is which. You don't have to lie. You don't have to pretend everything is wonderful, but you do need emotional discipline. And that emotional discipline comes out in your messaging. If you need to vent, call a friend, get a therapist, go to the gym, write in a journal that is somewhere absolutely secret and locked away where your child can't find it, because these children, they get on your computer, they look in your drawers, they check your phones. There's a lot of damage that I see in many cases where a child finds information that even the parent didn't expect that that child would find. Your child is not your processing partner. And it's very important that your tone and approach is managed extremely carefully. I spend a lot of time scripting things with parents when I'm acting as a child's legal representative, best interest attorney. There's a lot of situations such as those where the best thing to do is for co-parents to make the same kind of statement. So we're having trouble with regulation of whether a child wants to go to parenting time, for example, at one home. Parents might learn that they together will say a similar thing. It doesn't have to be exact, but that your mom and I, or your dad and I, or the other parents and I have decided that this is how we'll deal with that, and we will get back to you, right? Instead of putting that child in the middle, tip two, or tip three, using a tone and giving messaging that can be very problematic for a child because you're processing with them, making decisions with them about the other home or about parenting structures. Shield them from adult narratives. Children do not need the details of why the marriage ended. I think I've shared before on the podcast that I had a teenager once who indicated to me that her dad never met her mom's love languages, even as early as the very beginning of their marriage, right? They're all really, really broken and destructive. And that adult narrative, a parent sharing that with a child, all that can be is destructive. There is nothing good that comes of that. It will hurt that child, and it hurts the relationship of that child with the other parent. And it's just utterly inappropriate to share. They don't need to know about affairs. They don't need to know about timelines of when things happened. They don't need to hear about financial grievances. They don't need to know who filed the case. What they need is reassurance. By sharing all those things, you're putting your own needs first because you want to feel like you owe some explanation that it wasn't your fault. And I say that pretty firmly because it's just absolutely true. There is nothing positive that comes from any of that other than trying to make your child take your side. And that is a very twisted and detrimental thing to do to your child. Many times in cases on which I'm appointed, I find myself saying to parents who are very well-meaning, what you are doing is putting poison into your child's life. And very well-meaning parents are absolutely shocked, some very offended, some very angry at that, particularly if they have a co-parent they think is a dirtbag or lame or just a bad parent and an abuser or a addict or a cheater or any of the other things, greedy, liar, all of it, right? They want their kids to know that, and they don't understand that their kids knowing that damages them. So if you want your kids to be emotionally well, despite divorce, save it. Maybe someday when they're adults, that's something that gets to be something that they want to understand. But the very best thing you can do is protect them from those details. Save your details for other people in your life, like your therapist. What kids need is reassurance to be emotionally stable. They need to know this is not your fault. You are deeply loved. We are still your parents. We are going to be a family in a different way now, and we are both here for you. I once met with a college student who said that the most painful part of the divorce her parents went through when she was a child wasn't separation or the divorce herself. It was hearing her mother explain in every detail, or in a lot of detail at least, the betrayal, the anger, the sadness. You need to not let your child be hearing you weep on the phone with your friends. Kids know what's going on behind closed doors. You need to find a space to do that. Does that mean you need to be fake with them? No. But we protect children in a lot of ways because they don't need to carry that emotional baggage. This child carried that anger for years, not because she wanted to, but because it was handed to her. She wasn't protected from it. So now we've doubled down. Her family, as she should have known it, fell apart. And now, in the wake of that, she had to bear her mom's pain and her mom's narrative for years. Many times children become the confidant, and it is deeply disturbing when that happens. Find a friend, find a therapist, go to somebody other than your child to be your buddy in the narrative of why you got divorced. It does nothing at all positive to children to ask them to carry adult betrayal, adult failure. Protect them from those narratives because it will burden their identity if you don't.